We've been told since we were kids that hard work is the key to success. But if that were true, the single mother working 3 jobs in Ohio would be a millionaire, and the construction worker in New York would own the building. The truth? Hard work isn't the key, it's the lock. And for 99% of people, it's the very thing keeping them broke. There is a psychological mental trap deeply embedded in the American dream. It's designed to keep you trading your time for a paycheck while the top 1% use a completely different set of rules to build generational wealth. In this video, I'm going to break down that mental secret that separates the rich from the exhausted. If you feel like you're running on a treadmill and going nowhere, this is for you. Let's dive in. Here's something nobody wants to admit. There are people working 2 jobs right now, setting alarms at 5 a.m., skipping vacations, saying no to every dinner invite, and they are still living paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, someone they went to school with is working half the hours, making 3 times the money, and sleeping 8 hours a night. That's not a coincidence. And it's not luck either. There is a very specific reason why effort alone almost never creates wealth. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Meet Marcus. Marcus is 34, lives in Columbus, Ohio, and works in logistics. He's been at the same company for 9 years. Never missed a shift. Got promoted twice. He earns $58,000 a year, which sounds decent until you see his bank account on the 28th of every month. He's got $210 in checking. A credit card with $4,300 on it. And a savings account he opened 3 years ago with the best intentions, that currently holds $47. But here's where it gets worse. Marcus isn't bad with money. He tracks his spending. He clips digital coupons. He hasn't bought a new pair of shoes in 2 years. So where is the money going? That's the question Marcus asks himself every single month. And every month, he comes up with the same answer: not enough income. So he picks up extra shifts. He drives for a rideshare app on weekends. He hustles. And somehow, every month, the bank account still looks the same. If you've ever felt like you're running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, working more but getting nowhere, you're in the right place. Because Marcus's problem isn't his income. And it's not his spending habits. The real issue is something that happens long before money ever hits his account. Here's the first thing you need to understand. There are 2 types of workers in this economy. The first type trades time for money. Every dollar they earn requires an hour of their life. The second type builds systems that earn money whether they're working or not. Now, here's what's tricky. Both types might work just as hard in the beginning. The difference isn't the effort. The difference is the direction of the effort. Think of it this way. Imagine 2 people digging. One is digging straight down, going deeper and deeper into the same hole. The other is digging sideways, building a tunnel that eventually connects to a stream of water that flows on its own. Same shovel. Same sweat. Completely different outcomes. Marcus has been digging straight down for 9 years. More shifts, same hole. And nobody ever showed him there was another direction. Now, this is where most videos would tell you to start a side hustle or invest in the stock market. But that advice skips the actual root of the problem. Because before Marcus can do any of that, there's a mental rewiring that has to happen first. If you're still watching, this next part is the part that changes everything. This is where we get to the actual mental secret. Not a motivational quote. Not a hustle tip. The real psychological mechanism that keeps hard workers broke and keeps them from ever seeing it. Here it is. The reason Marcus stays broke, the reason most hard workers stay broke, isn't laziness. It's not bad spending. It's not even low income. It's something psychologists call the scarcity mindset. And it works like a trap that gets tighter the harder you pull. When your brain is in scarcity mode, meaning it's constantly focused on what you don't have, what you might lose, what might go wrong, it literally narrows your thinking. Research from Princeton shows that the mental bandwidth consumed by financial stress is equivalent to losing 13 IQ points. That's not a metaphor. That's cognitive science. So what happens? You're stressed about money, so you can't think clearly. Because you can't think clearly, you make short-term decisions, or the quick fix, the extra shift, the small reward that feels deserved. Those short-term decisions keep you in the same cycle. And the cycle keeps your brain stressed. It feeds itself. Marcus wasn't failing because he wasn't trying hard enough. He was failing because his brain was so consumed with surviving today that it had almost no capacity left to plan for tomorrow. The hustle wasn't the solution. The hustle was the symptom. Now here's the uncomfortable part. The scarcity mindset isn't something you choose. It gets installed. If you grew up in a household where money was always tight, where arguments happened over bills, where needs went unmet, your brain learned a very specific lesson early on. Money is dangerous, unpredictable, and hard to hold on to. And your brain, being the loyal protector it is, adapted. It became hypervigilant about money. It started treating every financial decision like a survival scenario. And when your brain is in survival mode, it doesn't plan. It reacts. This is why people who grow up financially stressed often end up financially stressed as adults, even when the actual income is different. The programming runs deeper than the paycheck. But here's what's also true. This can be changed. Not with a vision board. Not with affirmations. With a very deliberate, very intentional reprogramming of the way you relate to money, starting with one specific habit shift that cuts the scarcity loop at its root. The shift starts with something called proof of safety. Your brain stays in scarcity mode because it has no evidence that things are okay. Every month ends the same. Every time something unexpected happens, it wipes you out. So your brain never relaxes, because relaxing feels dangerous. Proof of safety means creating a small, real, undeniable signal to your brain that you are not in an emergency. This is why every personal finance expert eventually says the same thing: build a $1,000 emergency fund first, before anything else. Not because $1,000 solves your problems. But because $1,000 tells your brain, we are not dying. We have a buffer. We can breathe. When that signal lands, when it's real, not imagined, something subtle shifts. Your thinking opens up. You start seeing options you couldn't see before. You make slightly better decisions. Those slightly better decisions compound. And slowly, the tunnel starts pointing sideways instead of down. Marcus did one thing differently after he understood this. He stopped sending all extra income to his credit card minimum and instead kept $50 aside every month, no matter what. Within 6 months, he had $300 in a separate account. That's it. But for the first time in years, he stopped waking up at 3 a.m. thinking about money. That sounds small. But that's the point. The reprogramming doesn't need to be dramatic. It needs to be real. Consistent. Undeniable. Something your nervous system can actually feel. Here's the truth nobody tells you about hard work. In a system built around trading time for money, working harder only earns you more of the same. The escape isn't more effort, it's different thinking. And different thinking starts with a brain that isn't drowning in financial fear. So here are 2 things you can do today. Not next month. Not when things are better. Today. First, open a separate savings account right now and put $20 in it. Not because $20 changes your finances. Because $20 starts the proof that you can. That's the signal your brain needs to begin shifting out of survival mode. Second, spend 15 minutes this week writing down every automatic expense you have. Not to cancel them. Just to see them. Scarcity thrives in the dark. The moment you look at it clearly, your brain starts problem solving instead of panicking. Marcus isn't rich yet. But he's no longer running in place. He broke the loop, not by working harder, but by finally understanding what the loop was made of. You work hard. You deserve to see it actually build something. The only question left is, are you going to keep digging down, or finally dig sideways?